Hello, everyone. Before we get started, Two Kims One Pod Live is coming to both LA and Chicago. Every other month, starting November, we will be in your city. November 16th, Lincoln Lodge in Chicago. Please get tickets. They're available on our socials, websites, all of that, link trees. Go find it. And if you're in LA, at the Lyric Hyperion, December 16th. November 16th, December 16th. Very cool. We will be doing our show in LA, so get tickets for that. It's going to be so fun, and every other month we're going to be alternating whether we'll be in LA or Chicago. So go get tickets. We're so excited to see you live, and let's get into our show. All right, folks, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about if I fucked anyone in the great beautiful city of San Antonio.
I make a grown lady's miscarriage worse.
And then finally, do I end up making the same mistakes my mother did? And the answer is yes, but you'll get to find out how, all in today's episode of Two Kims
One Pod.
Welcome back to Two Kims
One Pod.
I'm one of your hosts, Peter Kim.
I am your other host, Unji Kim.
And we are here with the only podcast left in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. It's our first segment and possibly my favorite segment of the week. It's time to get into the highlights and lowlights of our weeks on a very special segment called
Rock Hard Tops and Soft Flaccid Bottoms. Yeah.
Today, I starting with my bottom. So I've been teasing this a little bit, but I went to San Antonio this past weekend for like a day to do comedy.
Did you come back the same day?
The next day.
It
was like pretty much 24 hours. It was in and out. And let me just say, Texas overall, not somewhere I want to be. Clearly, I'm queer. I believe in women's health rights. Like it's not I don't care about conceal and carry. Like I don't want to see no guns on your hip. I don't care if you are a cowboy and you have to shoot down a raging bull. Like I don't know. Okay. I don't want any of that. The culture of Texas for me doesn't jive really well with me. So I was already feeling a little bit nervous and anxious going to a very like, legislatively restrictive place.
Sure, the flavor of the place outwardly it doesn't appeal to you. Nothing's wrong with it. Kind of.
No, there's a lot wrong with it. There's a lot wrong with it.
So it's just it is not a vibe that you.
It's not a vibe I'm like
connecting
desperately trying to dive into, especially when it comes down to comedy. You know, my thing has always been I only want to be in cities where there are gay bars and Korean spas. So, and there are no Korean spas in San Antonio, but there were some gay bars, and I'm going to get into that. This is part of my pod. You know how you rag on the UK as having the most ugly woman alive? You know how you always say that? Specifically, England. You're not talking
English
about Ireland
women.
or Scotland
No, it's
or
English.
Wales.
It's English.
You're talking about English birds. I always kind of made fun of you because of that, because I was like, come on, you're being too tough on them. But because I don't really look at women like that, you know,
sure.
like usually when I see a woman walk down the street, it's a blur. And it's usually like, do I have to help them? You know, like that's how I see like in my periphery. Anytime there's a woman, it's
Is
like,
she going to require something of me? Ugh, this bitch. All right.
No, not that. Like, I'm afraid that she's like being harassed or hurt or something. You know what I mean? I'm always afraid for her safety. So that's like what I'm like. My spidey senses are always like, she's in trouble. You know. So I'm never looking at what women actually look like or like whatever, right? Except for when you're like fashionable, and then I'm clocking the fit.
Sure.
But I gotta say, I finally understood your pain, because I found the one location where this place, I think, breeds the ugliest men in the world. San Antonio, I'm sorry, if you're from San Antonio, get out. Because they all did. All the uggos left San Antonio and went to Austin, because there are I mean, all the hots.
Yeah.
Like, there are only the uggos left, and it was so. I went with my gay friend to do gay comedy. We were invited by an LGBT center, and we were like, "Yes, bitch, we're gonna go to this like LGBT night." Excuse me. There's gonna be all these like hotties, daddies.
Oh, you're allergic to the. You're allergic to the.
You're
gay
allergic
there.
to Uggy. Yeah. And we got there, and it was all like old couples. Like old lesbians, old gays. Nothing. I'm not saying I'm old too. I'm 41, but like I just thought there was gonna be like men like ready to like dance and do poppers and like fuck or whatever. But everyone was very like, we've been married, we're monogamous. You know, like it was like monogamy gays, which is scary to me.
It's straight.
I'm like,
yeah,
it's lesbian. That's how straight it is. You know what I mean? Like till we die, like emotionally. Strapped to each other.
We're gonna talk it out until we die.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about our feelings and how toxic we are to each other until we perish. So that was the vibe. So I was just like, oh, okay. And then we asked some of the people, we're like, what bar should we go to? What bar should we go to? They tell us there's only one one street of gay bars. Like, it's not even a full street. It's like half a street, and then there's a Dunkin' Donuts or something. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so it's a half a block. So it's like 3 or 4 establishments.
Yes, all in a row.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, let's go. And we go to this one place called Pegasus, and it was packed. And
Peg?
turns Peg
Assist?
Assist? Peg assist. That's funny. I'm having trouble pegging. Can someone assist me? Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
So we go here, and finally, some young gays. You know, we're like, oh my God. Okay. So we're all like, kind of like giving each other the looks.
This is yes.
It is very padam. I'm going home with you tonight. We're like being charming, smiling. 2 gay guys come up to us and they're like, settle a dispute. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect, right?
Love a dispute.
And then we're like feeling ourselves. All of a sudden, these 2 men come up to us, one Mexican and one white. And the white guy goes, oh my God, Bobby Lee? And I'm like, and I just look at him and I go, yeah, it's me. And then, hi. He's like, no, you're not Bobby Lee. You look just like him, though. And I was like, no, it's me. It's Bobby Lee. I swear it's me. Tiger Belly. That's my podcast. Bad Friends. Yeah, I work with a ginger. You know, I'm just like trying to like just be like obtusely like, I'm Bobby Lee, you know? And he's like, oh, no. But do people say that? Do people tell you that? And I'm like, yeah, all the time.
What is this conversation?
I have no idea, right?
What is this conversation?
And then my
no, you're
friend,
not. He thought you were or didn't believe you were. And then once you affirmed it, he wasn't. So he knew you were.
He knew I wasn't, but he wanted to say that thing to either like make me laugh or to make me uncomfortable, to get a joke off. Like, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, right?
Yeah, this conversation is bizarre.
And he is white and straight, okay? And yes, and he goes, oh, this is my friend, blah, 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 this Mexican guy he was with. And I was like, oh, how do you guys know each other? And he's like, I don't. He's my landlord's son. I decided to go out with him tonight, and he took me to this gay bar, so I think he's gay. And then we go, oh, you're gay? And the Mexican guy looks at us, and he starts, like, grabbing air boobs. He's like, and I'm like, what
is this conversation?
What's happening? Me and my friend Mike are like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But we're also approached by the only 2 straight men in the bar. So we're like, are they going to kill us? They were like big too. And they're like, you guys want to play darts? And I was like, what? And then they like take us to the dart thing. And me and Mike are like, all right, let's just make an excuse to get out of here. Right.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, let's go eat. So I was like, sorry guys, darts sounds fun, but we're going to go eat. I'm starving. We just got off the plane and we did a show. They're like, oh, you guys are comedians? Tell us a joke. And I was like, I'm going to commit straight genocide. I'm going to kill every straight person in this bar. Like, what is happening?
What is this conversation? What is this interaction?
They were like absolutely fucked up and drunk. And then they kept like slapping my back with their big like straight paws, you know, like it felt like they were leaving marks on my back. And it was just such a like shitty fucking experience in a ugly city in the first place. And of course the only 2 guys that are giving us any attention are straight guys. And we're like, what is this? And we're like, we're gonna go eat. and they were like, okay, the white guy's like, where do you want to go eat? Let's go eat.
No.
And I was
This is where interaction ends.
We're not inviting you. No,
Yeah.
we're going to go eat on our own.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you want? Chinese food? You looking for Chinese food? And then Mike finally gets so pissed. He was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you being so fucking racist? And he was like, no, we're just having fun. It's like, no, you came in here. All you talk about is him looking like Bobby Lee and AJ. He's like, what, man? I'm trying to be funny. And Mike's like, it's not fucking funny. Get lost. And I was like, oh, okay. And then they were like, and then we left. And the whole night I was like, why? Am I ever going to be able? Like, I thought I was going to a small city, San Antonio, big town, and going to the gay strip. I thought I would be safe from this type of interaction. Like, how did the only like toxic straight people find us? Like, do I have a beacon saying like, come fuck with me? Like, it was so obnoxious. And the fact that like we finished comedy and went to this gay bar and got harassed in this way is like,
this is crazy.
I'm starting to remember this happened in Vancouver too. When I did comedy in Vancouver, somebody yelled out at me like, Bobby mother, you know, so I'm like, I just don't know if I'm ever going to get out of this thing until like, I don't know, one of us dies. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. I'm now like, just because he's so popular that like, and there's so many racists that like, it's unavoidable. I can't. Whatever. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I'd much rather someone come up to me and be like, Bobby Lee, instead of like, fucking chick. You know what I mean? I guess that's better. I don't know.
Was it like, what happened when Mike like kind of chastised them? Were they chastened? Were they like, oh,
no,
didn't
they
realize?
were like, what are you talking about? We're not being racist. We're having fun. He looks like Bobby Lee. Like, why is that racist? And I'm like, oh my God.
No, but I mean, like the idea that you would like even at like, oh, are you going to Chinese food, and then like approach and like persistently. I mean,
plus, by the way, I was the only Asian that we saw the entire time. Yeah, like not just at the gay bars, at the show, which was packed. Yeah, we went downtown by the Riverwalk, Alamo. No Asians. No Asians at the Alamo. There's something wrong with that. Asians are everywhere that you can take a possible picture. You know what I mean? True. Like, if there's a photo op, there's an Asian there. And the fact that there were no Asians at the Alamo on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, something's wrong with that town. Like, if Asian tourists don't want to take photographs in your, like,
it's like a
touristy destination.
Yeah, it's small. Because the thing is, there are a lot of Asians in Texas. It's like one of the fastest growing populations.
Probably all
of
in Houston.
Yes, in Houston and Austin because of the tech stuff, and like there are a burgeoning sort of Asian population specifically in Texas. But yes, I think San Antonio is also older money. It's like older people.
It looked like no one had money.
It is
like no one had money, style, class, taste, like.
It's just a smaller market. It's a smaller market, right?
It's like a smaller market. It's like us going to like Rockford, Illinois to do a show, as opposed to Chicago. It's like, what's happening? Like all the talent drained, all the hot people drained out and went to Chicago. You know, like that's what it felt like. And someone who I finally like talked to someone, an older gay, and I was like, what's going on here? Yeah. And they were like, yeah, well, all the young people go to Austin. Yes. And then when they want to have kids, they come back. To San Antonio and have kids, and their kids go to Austin. So it's like this cycle, and so all the like people who like settle in San Antonio. Anyway,
I mean, I've been to San Antonio, so yes, I know this. Yes, I have friends that have grew up in Texas, and her like sister is like part of like San Antonio like society. And
what society? What is she doing there?
But there's like a sort of, in every single sort of Texas small market like this, there is like a family of like 4 to 5. Like you know how in every single city or town, like that's over X amount of people, there are, it's like, there are like 10 or 12 like founding families.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it's like those people that guy that murdered all his entire family in the you know what I'm talking about? It was like a really big murder case recently, the Murdochs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like their family is like a founding family. Like if you were to go there are everyone's like whatever, like the same thing, but there's like an echelon of like founding families who are very affluent, and there's like 20 of them and all of their descendants. Like that.
Well, none of them were present during the day. I'll tell you that.
I mean,
we
that's
only
a crazy,
went for one day, so whatever.
But I mean, but that's a crazy interaction.
Yeah, and it's like, I just can't go anywhere. I can't go anywhere without this happening.
But also, what were they doing at this gay bar? Like, if the Mexican guy was also... Like, did he speak English? Why did he just grope the air?
Because they were drunk. They were being like assholes.
So they were just two straight guys hanging out with each other, not friends.
And they don't know each other. And they're at a gay bar. Yeah. I know. San Antonio's crazy. Like, nothing makes sense. Nothing
like, were
makes
they
sense.
actually straight or were they deeply closeted?
No, you could clearly tell they were straight. They were like, it's like straight guys going to a gay bar because they think girls are going to be there.
Is that what Is that what they think? That there needs to be a sort of like we need to gatekeep. This is the thing. We are being too inclusive. There needs to be someone
There was no cover. Exactly.
But there needs to be a bouncer at the door that needs to be like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I don't think you can do that without straight people go crazy or like shooting up the place like Paul. But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
You tell a straight man not to come into a gay bar, they're not going to be happy.
That's so crazy.
So crazy. So that was my bottom of the week.
Oh my God.
My top of the week is related. I went to the show, San Antonio. So shout out to Woodlawn Point. They had, I know it sounds like a cemetery, but it's not. Woodlawn Point is
a cemetery.
Yeah, right. Woodlawn Point is like this gay LGBTQ queer like community center where they get they have like community events, and also they bring in performers so that they could sell tickets and sell booze and whatever, make money for the center.
Okay.
Also tied to a gay church. They like share the building. Apparently the gay church has a gay pastor and only has 10 parishioners. So like they make no money from the church, so they make all the money from this community center, who brings in like Rue girls, drag queens, singers, like Broadway singers who do like cabaret or whatever. So they brought me in, and I was a little nervous because I haven't done an hour since you and I went to DC, which was over a year ago.
Yeah.
So, and when you and I went on tour a few months ago, we were both doing 30s, which is half the time.
But we were also reaching 20 easy. We were hitting that 2025, and we were both talking about how at the end of the tour, it felt like 45 to 50 felt very possible.
It was within reach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But you and I stopped touring August 4th.
Yes.
Or 5th, right? Mm-hmm. And then, so today's October 2nd. So it's been 2 months, right?
Yeah.
And within 2 months, since you and I stopped touring, I came back to LA and was doing 10, 15-minute spots, 10, 12-minute spots, not even 15-minute spots. Yeah. So I was going around doing like, trying to work on new material because I knew this thing was coming up, right?
Sure.
And so I was a little nervous going into it, but I sat down and I was like, okay, listen, I have half an hour that I have been doing on the road. So like, I know it works. So what I need to do is I need to tack on 15 at the top and 15 at the bottom.
Yes.
And that really like started to make sense for me because I was like, oh, I have 2 15-minute chunks that I didn't do on tour, right?
Yes.
So I was like, oh no, I had 1 15-minute chunk that I didn't do on tour. So I slapped that at the end of my set.
The age and like gay stuff, right?
What, the last 15?
Yeah.
No, the last 15 is a story. It's a larger chunk story.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's about me hooking up with a racist and shitting on his bed.
Okay, yeah.
And so I don't usually do that when I'm doing like sets or whatever because it's a longer story and it eats up so much time, right? So I usually do it during like storytelling shows, or if someone's like, we have a 15-minute set, you can go a little over it, then I'll do the whole story, right? Because it's about 15 minutes. And then if I like tag stuff or if I like improvise jokes or whatever, ad-lib, then it gets longer.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, great. I have that 15. And then at the top, I've been working on this new stuff about like me working out and whatever, just like what
Body.
I look like right now.
Yeah.
Body, hair, face, what I'm giving, and how it's anachronistic to how I want people to look at me, etc. So
Okay.
like I've been doing that chunk, and then like horny for getting too horny because I'm working out, and that drives up my libido, and how that's an issue for me because I'm getting turned on by pit bulls. Anyway, so like I'm. By the way,
strong hunch.
No, truly, like, this is part of my set, so I'm sorry, but like, why do pit bulls have that many muscles? Like, I don't get it. Like, are they doing other stuff that other dogs aren't doing? You know, like,
Pit
why
bulls?
does my golden doodle have no muscles? Whereas, like, every pit bull is like a bouncer. You know what I mean? It's like jacked up. I don't understand what they're doing physically that they need all those muscles. It's crazy. They're just there to tempt me. Anyway, so I end up. My friend Mike does. By the way, he's never done comedy.
Yeah.
But I know he's funny and he's done. He could host. So I was like, come do 10 minutes up top. I'll have Irma Ruiz, my feature, do half hour. She killed. Shout out to Irma. And then I went up there and the audience was just like loose, you know?
That's great.
Just like, come on, give it to us, give it to us. They were like ravenous. So I went into it and I did my hour. And I got to say, I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was not hard.
Ooh.
It wasn't hard. And that really made me feel so confident that like I can go out and do this over and over again.
My top and bottom happen simultaneously.
Okay.
They're
I love
both
these. I
the
love a 2 for
same
1.
thing. They're literally, it is the same evening, just at 2 different points. You can guess when the highlight occurred and then when the low occurred, right?
Ooh, I love a game. Let's play. Okay.
Okay. When do you think the low point occurred in an evening?
You're asking me right now?
Yeah. Do you think it happened first? Do you think it happened earlier, or do you think it happened late?
I need more context. What was the evening about? Was it a social gathering?
Yes, it was a social gathering. I was going on a 40th birthday boat extravaganza. It was a homecoming.
It happened early.
Okay. The highlight was early?
No.
The low light was there?
Yeah. I
You
think
know
the low
me too
light
well.
right when you said something fun with friends, I was like, no, it started off bad. All right, get into it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so this was a boat extravaganza for my friend's 40th birthday. She had it. It was like a homecoming themed because she had never gone to a dance. I've never gone to a homecoming.
Oh, that's so sad.
Either. Yes.
Wait,
so
a homecoming or a prom? You didn't go to either?
No.
No way. A Sadie Hawkins?
No.
Oh my, Unji.
I did go to a dance. I think it was like
dance marathon doesn't count.
You know.
That's not a dance. That's not a promenade.
No, it was like an actual dance, but it was. I don't remember what it was. Like,
Did you have a date?
I did have a date. Who left?
Oh, okay.
Who left me?
Oh.
But I mean, it was the only dance I've ever been to.
Did you get a picture? Did you at least like commemorate it with a photo?
No.
So there's no photographic evidence of you ever being taken to a dance?
No.
Unji. Oh my God, we're going to need to fix this. Anyway, it's her 40th. She's never been to a dance. So you themed it for her.
She themed it for herself. Her friends, she did it. I mean, there were like 90 people on this fucking boat. And
whoa.
This is what I mean.
How big was this boat? Was this a yacht?
It was an extravaganza. A yacht. Ooh. A full yacht.
Whoa.
We're sailing the high seas, babe. And so there's...
Bitch, you're on Lake Michigan. Stop it.
Those waves... The wake can get choppy. I'm only 5 foot. It doesn't take much for a wave to be...
Yeah, that's true.
To take me out to sea.
All bodies of water feels like an ocean to you.
Yes, it doesn't take much to drop. I mean, also, I don't know how to swim. So, I mean, all of it is dangerous. So, we go. It is like an extravaganza. Yes, there's 90 people. It's a full ass... It's not... I kept thinking it was a pontoon. I was like, I kept thinking it's a pontoon. So I thought it was like a cozy, intimate affair. We're showing up. We have a little podcast, this is how old I am.
Fucked up
I
you
literally,
are. You're
I
tough
literally
enough.
thought it was like an iPod that we were gonna play, like a Spotify playlist. This is what I thought. And like pontoon, we're gonna be drinking out of a cooler, whatever. Full ass boat, yacht. People dressed. It looked like people were going to, because it was also a homecoming dance, homecoming Beyonce. Like it was themed.
Oh.
Yes, fully. So like people are showing up in their finery, the finery's finest, dressed.
How was it Beyonce's homecoming then? Like, that's not finely dressed. It's more like HBCU.
It was all of it. Some people were wearing fully varsity jackets and like the whole thing.
All right.
Yeah. So, and the fineries. And these are like her work. I mean, it's all people throughout her entire life. 90 fucking people. I mean,
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, could I do a quick set? This is a big audience. And so,
Captive.
Captain. So we arrive. It's like whatever, high seas. We get on. There's a open bar. There is a DJ. There is a like decks, multiple decks, different seating areas. Food is going to be served, and everyone, the frivolity is beginning.
I'm going to venture a guess and say this is not a comedy friend.
No.
Okay, great. I was like, what comedy friend could afford a 90-person
This
boat
is
ride?
what I'm saying. I just got roasted. Someone was like, oh, well, what did someone say? They were like, oh, you're like my richest friend. I was like,
what?
If I'm your richest friend, that means you don't know anyone but comedy people. And this person was like,
exactly.
yeah. I was like, yeah, shut up. Like most people, like I've met your high school friends, Peter. They're all like much richer. I mean, it's just, I'm the poorest one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the poorest one out of my high school friends, for sure. By
like,
choice, by the way. Okay, I left a career that paid me very middle, and now I'm low.
I mean, I'm
low income now.
I am involuntarily here. So,
I mean, 5 months out of the year, I don't even work. So, and not by choice.
I am, yes.
Anyway, so you're there. It's very fancy.
It's very fancy. It's very fun. My best friend is there, and so like we're secretly celebrating our birthdays. We're just like coattailing her, like all the planning she's done, and we are just both too like lazy and whatever to do this. So we're like secretly toasting our own birthdays. It's very fun, and after we're drunk, go to beauty bar afterwards. I leave my phone in the lift.
Oh God.
Low light. Upsetting.
And it's a Lyft, not an Uber, because you're ousted from Uber.
No, because I made her call it, and she only.
You didn't want to
like,
risk it.
Yeah. Listen, I'm disputed. Guess what? My Uber rating went up. So
oh, wow.
That's a testament to fight back.
The power of complaining.
So I lose my phone, big low light, because I'm also being really annoying, because I'm like, I'm drunk, I'm freaking out about my phone, like, I'm just being fucking annoying.
Oh, I can imagine. Imagine. I'm placing you there. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm like being annoying. I'm like freaking out about my phone. I'm like trying to, how am I going to get home? Because also it's like, it's like at the point in the night where it's maybe just like everyone's like 15-20 minutes out from being too late to be out. Also, we've been on a boat for 3 fucking hours, Yeah. Also, the boat, perfect night in Chicago. Like 75, like late summer, early fall, the harvest moon out on the water. It was really something special. And so I'm freaking out. That's the low light. Okay. I keep calling the Lyft driver. She, says she's coming, and I'm freaking out. It's been like full 30 minutes, but she has another ride. I'm freaking out just because I'm centering myself. And she comes, she drives up, has the phone out of her car, hands it to me. And I'm like, because by the way, in the interim, as I've been calling her, we're becoming closer and closer. Like we're exchanging jokes, pleasantries. She's assuring me. I'm being like, you know what I mean? We're kind of like, I'm being especially charming because I'm trying to lure her back.
Yeah.
And she gets here, she hands it to me, and I'm like, peer into the lift, and I'm like, could I just get a ride home? and
Not pay?
I'm thinking that I will pay her, right? I'm like, I will call and you can just accept the ride.
I see.
She looks at me and goes, no, just get in. And she just fully gives me a ride home. I'm getting a free. She does not turn on the meter. We are just two strangers in a car that she's giving a ride home. I have a Google Maps up. I'm giving her directions because I don't know how to get home from there. So we're Google mapping together. She's driving me home.
Wow. Only you, not your friend?
No, my friend, she lives in fucking Oak Park. We can't. And so she just fully gives me a ride home for free. We are having the time of our life in the car.
This is such a strange turn of events from last week.
Absolutely.
When you were being chided and absolutely dragged for opening your goddamn mouth in the back seat. You were being reported. This is the difference between Uber and Lyft.
No,
this is the corporate. Yeah, this is the corporate branding that Uber and Lyft differentiate on.
No, anyway, the biggest difference is that this woman was a African immigrant. Always going to do well with them. African, she was an African immigrant, super into K-dramas.
There you go. You couldn't lose.
We couldn't lose. So we are having the time of our lives, driving back. We wind up in front of my house, talk for another 20 minutes. I wind up...
What? This bitch don't want to make money? What the fuck?
It was crazy. I Venmo'd her.
She's losing dollars. She's red.
I Venmo'd her $100 for giving me the phone and giving me a full ride home. Yeah. What?
Oh,
you want to give me
you
want to report me, Uber? Fuck you. This is what could happen. Engage me in a conversation. Charm me. $100. Let that be a lesson.
And you don't have to give any of that to your corporate overlords. You don't have to give any of that to like paying off the car or whatever. You keep that right in your pocket. You take it to Old Town Ale House and have a great time. Wow.
Drink and drive. So
not just drink and drive someone else.
So, I mean, fully 20 minutes, we're talking about K-dramas. She wants to go to Korea. I unfortunately inform her of how racist Koreans are. And then she's like, I can see how crestfallen she is. And so I wind up, because she really wants to go and like find a man. Like she wants
to find a Korean man because of the drama.
I'm telling you,
she's hook, line, and sinker.
Can you imagine? She's so sweet, so charismatic, like a full sweetheart. Like
rude
this
awakening.
Bitch. Yes, and she's fully has another job, working in logistics, like making all this like regular money, and then like doing this.
No wonder she out here giving free rides and shit. She don't need this Lyft money.
She's hustling. You know, this is the immigrant like. And anyway, so then we're fully having a great time, and the whole conversation ends with me like hyping her up because she's like she like wants to she was like really into getting her body straight before getting her body right before she goes to Korea, because she was like self-conscious about her body, and I was just like, no, you look. I was just like hyping her up, and like we were like, it was one of those things where only like a stranger can do that for you sometimes, because you can't hear it from the people you love.
Meanwhile, both of your young children are at home waiting for you. You're outside of the house in a stranger's car, yakking it up. Your 7-month-old baby's like, where is mother? I need milk. You're just cackling, sending this bitch money, giving her unsolicited advice.
No, the advice was solicited. No, the advice was solicited.
It was solicited.
I've learned, and so. But no. Of course, my kids aren't awake. This is like fucking at midnight, a little bit before midnight. Yeah. And so, yeah, my kids aren't awake. But like, yeah, I absolutely. But it was like such a high point, because like to share like something like that. And again, this is 100% because it is coming on the heels of my injustice, the injustice of last week, and how Uber handled that situation, and me having to vouch for myself and get retribution for myself. This is karma for me. This is how I felt about it, and this is why it's a highlight. And that's my top, and that's my rock hard bottom. Thank you for
right. That's a good combo.
Peter, there's actually there's someone at the door.
Who is it?
Yeah. It's Trauma!
Trauma.
Llama, llama, ding dong.
So I was an only child, so I always did. I was like a teacher's pet. I'm an only child, and I was precocious. I was 100% a teacher's pet. Like,
Oh my God, same until I turned 7, and then my brother came along.
yeah.
And then everything was ruined.
So this is like, I was always stayed after. I was a teacher's helper, all these things.
Let me ask you, did you love going to parent-teacher conference?
Absolutely, because I had to
Me
translate.
too. Oh my God, me too. And the teacher would say the best things about me, and
Absolutely.
I would have to translate that to my mom. I love that.
And then my mom would say like heinous things about me back to the teacher, which I would not translate.
Of
and
course.
then
She says, "Thank you for your service."
yeah. And my mom's like, that's weird because she's so mad at home. Anyway, so I was a teacher's pet, and I remember, there's like one of those moments where like an adult is being an adult in a way that is not appropriate to be around a child.
In what way? There's so many ways I could think of.
No, I'm not talking about abuse, but I'm talking about like where things are just like too, like, like my parents always fought at home a lot. So like, that sort of adult, like scary energy where like as a kid, you recognize this is out of my pay grade. Mm-hmm. And like this is out of my depth, and I don't completely understand what's happening, but people are really angry and it's very serious.
Pause. I just saw I think it was New York Times or LA Times, one of the times, just released an article about how being screamed at as a child, it causes the same amount of damage in your brain as being actually hit. And I was like, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
There's no way. Because let me tell you, I was screamed at and hit, and let me tell you, I'd rather just be screamed at.
Absolutely. Who are these people with like this level of threshold of pain? This had to have been only white people. It had to have been only white people. Like there's no way. That's crazy to just be yelled at.
And it's like soft whites, not like the hard, like Texan whites.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like these are like Minnesota whites.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
Crazy. I don't buy that at all. But anyway, go on.
Yeah. So
I'm upset by that.
Yeah. Like that's like
you're talking to kids who got beat the fuck out by their parents. Okay,
and screamed up simultaneously.
Same time. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes beat without screaming.
Yes, those were the scariest ones.
Sense. Yes,
those were the
scariest. But anyway,
my God.
Cool, New York Times. Sure, whatever your white.
I guess
what is it called?
I guess if you only ask MFAs in poetry, yeah.
Yeah, sure. You went to the Iowa English program? Cool. Yeah.
Okay, writer's workshop. Get a fucking grip. So
you definitely didn't talk to any immigrant children. Like,
what a fucking psycho statistic. Anyways, this is why sometimes the social sciences I'm like, are these lies? So like, what's the data? What is this data? Anyways. So I understood like adult conversation and like, do you know what I mean? Especially around my parents and like my extended family and all other immigrant, because there's almost always serious talk about money, and there's always serious talk about like domestic disputes and like beefs. You know what I mean? Like especially when you're like under, I would say if before puberty. Like under 5th grade, there's like, it's like a much more nebulous feeling you have towards it. Like even if because we both did like help our parents with taxes and stuff, like, but it's like, that's different than like the sort of scary or adult emotional side of things. You know what I mean? Like it felt like more shadowy up until that point. Okay. But it only happened with your family or like immigrant people. This is the first time it ever happened with a white person, and it's the first time it ever happened with a teacher. And I remember I was very close to my 3rd grade teacher. She was very tall. It's like my 2nd grade teacher was also very tall. Maybe this is why I'm like this, but I remember I learned that she had a miscarriage.
Oh my God. Oh no.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Oh God. Okay.
This is like, I remember walking into the classroom and she's weeping at her desk.
Oh no.
Yes. And
Tell me you just left her alone and minded your own fucking business. Please tell me you left this fucking poor miscarried young lady alone. Damn. What did you say?
I creep towards her and she's like weeping, and you know, because we've been close, right? So it like, this woman probably in her like late 20s, early 30s, like just in this moment of vulnerability with the student that she is like, is pretty precocious and like, you know, not saying that what she did was at all wrong, but it was certainly not like appropriate, let's say, right?
It's not her fault she miscarried.
No, I'm saying like to tell me, a 8-year-old kid, that she had recently had a miscarriage.
Miscarriage, right.
Do you know what I mean?
How do you even explain that to a kid?
She literally was just like, I lost my child. Like, I was pregnant and I'm not anymore. And she is like, and I'm kind of understanding it. And I don't know how I understood what it was, but I did. And I think it's because like maybe my mom had one or something. And because my mom also had an abortion, like, you know, whatever. But I knew that it was like, because of the way that my mom had processed it, I was like, I was like, it's okay. It's not a big deal. It happens all the time. And then I told her to drink some herbs and that it's not a big deal. This is what an 8-year-old girl told a woman that was weeping at her desk. And I'll never forget the way that I'll never forget the way that she would just like glared at me and was like, well, thank you for that.
But here's the thing. That's kind of sweet of you, though, to like try to comfort this adult woman because you see that she's aching and you're saying like, it's okay.
Sure.
It's not that big of a deal, you know, and that's so sweet. But for her, for this woman to openly weep in front of her student is, first of all, get your shit together. I get that you had a miscarriage, but like leave that at home. And this is your workplace. And secondly, this kid is trying to assuage some kind of like bad feelings and you're getting snarky at her.
It was just like
so
the level
low.
of like, it was like an adult. It was seriously like an adult level of like scorn and disdain, and she was pissed, and she had every right to be because it was so obnoxious of me. But it was just like all of it felt like, you know, it felt like I was up until that point, I had been unchecked in my precociousness. Like, oh, I'm acting like an adult. I'm talking with adults. I can handle adult things. And then an adult handed me an adult thing, and it turned out I was naked. Yeah, like I could not handle this.
Yeah,
I was not prepared. No. There's no part of it, and it just really, I remember it really checked me. Like, you're playing, you are play acting, you are acting. You are not actually. There's no part of you that is authentically an adult, that is authentically mature. Like, you are maybe a little bit like, you know, guess the thing is like we got to play that because we had some sort of like maturity because we're doing a lot of things for our parents. We're doing this. We're exposed to a lot of adult things, certainly. But that sort of like fundamental adultness, no. We had we're certainly not ready for it. I just remember it being like a hip check about like my precociousness, being like, yeah, but really? Thanks. And we were never the same. Me and this teacher were never the same. That's what I was going to
ask. Okay, so it changed your relationship forever. Did that stop? Did that make you want to like pause every time you wanted to get involved in an adult's thing, or did that make you want to do it more? because you failed at this thing?
I literally, I think it taught me I just started pretending harder. Like I started picking up other adult things. Like I was like, how do I mirror empathy in this way? How do I mimic concern? Like it was I took it as a challenge. Yeah, that's right.
So the next time an adult came and talked about their miscarriage weeping openly, you could be like, do you want to see a therapist?
It was crazy. But that's one of the traumas I have that I was remembering recently. Like one of those moments where like an adult was mean to me. Mm-hmm. You know, like was pissed. That was not my family. Yeah, upset, that was pissed, upset. Yeah. And that was not a family member. Like, you know, like that's like an adult, like.
That's a sting.
You remember like it's like an adult thing to like.
I prided myself of never pissing off adults outside of my mom. Like my Cuomos, my emos, my aunts, uncles, everyone. I was the perfect child. Like I was like you, precocious. I was smart. I had good grades. Mm-hmm. I was able to tete-a-tete. Yeah. You know, like so they loved me at the adult table. So I had never experienced that kind of like shock and awe from another adult. And if I'm like trying to put myself, I think one time my like emo got upset at me because I did something. Yeah. And I remember feeling like crestfallen. Like, I can't believe I let an adult down. Like, I didn't care about letting any kids down because they were beneath me.
Absolutely.
But like, if I let my emo down or like my sumo down or an ajumma down, God forbid, like a non-blood person, I remember thinking like that was such a grave injustice that I had committed because like I'm the perfect kid, you know? And so I know what that feels like. And there's never been an elementary school teacher or really any teacher in my entire schooling career that has ever looked at me with disdain.
And Peter, that's why I've got 2 Uber reports against me and you've got 0.
That's true. All right, my adult trauma. I thought about this because this exact situation almost literally repeated itself on Friday. So here's my trauma, and then I'll explain how it almost repeated itself. So when I was in my 20s, this is before I even came out.
Okay.
It's like right after college.
Yeah.
My mom, my family had never been on a family vacation.
Yeah. So
my mom and my stepdad at that time, and his kid and my brother, all of us, like 5 of us, were like, let's go on a family trip finally. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, where are we going to go? Hawaii? Yeah. Are we going to go to London? Are we going to go to Thailand? Yeah. Like, where are we going? First family trip. Disney World. I've been begging for Disney, even Universal Studios at that point for decades, you know, because every summer.
You asked to go to Disney World?
Every year, because every summer kids would come back and be like, I went to Disney. They would come back with their little ears and they'd be like, I rode this ride, I rode that ride, Epcot Center. Like, these are all places that I just dreamed of, you know, Universal Studios, the rides. So I had never been to Disney World, Disneyland, any Disney, Knott's Berry Farm, none of it.
I never would have thought to ask, Peter. That's why you're a dreamer.
I begged.
You're a dreamer.
I begged every day. I didn't care. Yeah. There was a sick, twisted part of me that wanted to beg my parents because I wanted them to feel the shame of not being able to do it.
Afford it, yes.
Yes.
I never thought to ask.
I wanted to see them, like, I wanted to see them kind of feel bad that they couldn't earn enough to take me to Disney World.
See, this is why you're good. You're a dreamer.
I'm sick.
You're a dreamer and you're a cutthroat businessman. Because I literally never thought to ask, and the only thing I've ever asked, tentatively, I asked for a year, was to go to medieval times. So this is the reason why.
Turkey leg. Yeah. You love it.
Okay, God.
Anyway, so my mom finally says, and I'm fully 24 at this point, and she's like, okay, family, we're going on our first family vacation. We're like, fuck yeah, where are we going? And she goes, Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm like, fuck. So, and mind you, I'm 24 at that point, which means my middle brother, who's 7 years younger than me, is 17. Mm-hmm. right? And then the next youngest, who's 11 years younger than me, is like 13. So they have like nothing to do there. They can't even like, you know, maybe there's like Excalibur where like there's like kids, whatever, like stuff to do. But we weren't even staying at Excalibur. We were staying at Showboat or whatever the fuck we had.
But you could go to the pool.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But no one's taking them to the pool. You know what I mean? My parents are like, bye. And they're at the slot machines for fucking 5 days straight.
Yeah.
So it was like miscreant behavior. And I remember like the vacation being so whack, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I was obviously old enough to gamble, but I wasn't making like crazy money. I had my first job, entry-level job, making like $38K a year. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't really flush with any money to spend.
Sure.
So like, so it wasn't that like fun of a vacation, right? But of course, my parents are losing a shit ton of money, so they're having a great time. So their favorite pastime.
Mine too. My parents love to go out of business.
Yes. Chapter 11, favorite chapter of the book.
They love it.
They never read any other chapter.
My father always says you can't start going out of business until you start one.
That's right. Anyway, so that was their ethos, and so everyone's having a bad time. My brothers are having a bad time, whatever, right? So the vacation ends. My emo meets us there, right? And
the one from Hawaii, the one
from Hawaii who loves to gamble,
yeah.
And her and everyone's hanging out, having a good time. So the day comes. It's a Saturday, and we're going back home to New York, right? From Vegas to New York, and we get to the fucking airport early. Just like normal time, like an hour and a half early, whatever you're supposed to do after 9/11.
Yeah.
We get there, and the whole airport, Las Vegas airport, is packed with men in cheap suits or tuxedos / capes carrying trunks of props.
Magicians.
Magician conference. Yes, let me tell you. Rabbits, colorful scarves, top hats, rings that fit into each other, wands that are like turn into a flower. Like you name it.
Everyone's just like pulling out scarves into infinity.
Yes.
Like you just can't stop.
People are like taking off their shoes. And, yeah, and it's so crazy because like you could imagine, and this was like 2 or 3 years after 9/11.
I mean, they can't travel. You can't carry saws onto the plane, right?
Yeah, or human remains. So like, so every person is being checked like thoroughly, and every bag is being looked through because there's so much crap.
Right,
so,
and magicians known cokeheads.
Sure. And back then I wasn't on coke, so like I had no idea why they were sweating so much. So we get there and we're like, fuck, right? And we're waiting in line, and it's going so slow that I finally go up to the person, the TSA person, and I was like, look, we have to go. Our flight's in literally 20 minutes. Like, we have to get through. And I'm sorry, we have to cut everyone. And she goes, I don't know if they think it's okay. And then I look at like the magicians in line with their trunks, and I'm like, is this okay? Can we please go? They were like, yeah, sure. To our surprise. So we skipped the entire line, and we get out to the thing.
Okay, like, these are kind magicians.
Kind. And they understand, like, all of them are from the conference, and we're like an Asian family trying to get home, right?
Yeah,
so they're like, go. You're going to miss your flight.
And you pull out like a cape as you go, aha, trick.
Smoke bomb. So we finally get through, and my mom's like, oh my God, that's so nice of everyone. I can't believe we got through, and like we have like 15 minutes left before the flight. This is amazing. Let's go get breakfast. And I'm like, Amma, no. This is a gift. Let's take it and run.
Yeah.
It's like the flight's so long. It's like 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah.
We haven't eaten breakfast. Like, we have to get breakfast. And I was like, Amma, we are going to miss this motherfucking plane. She was like, no, don't worry. Like, we'll go to Burger King because it's fast. And my mom, for some reason, loves Burger King breakfast.
Korean people really like Burger King.
Koreans love, I think it's like the mini hash brown coins.
Yeah.
They love Burger King. Burger King, no. It's McDonald's breakfast or bust, okay?
Yes, of course.
Burger King is disgusting. It's greasy. They have these croissant
But
witches.
the Whopper,
which, like,
I creepy like the Whopper.
I think it's because the smoky taste
maybe,
of it.
but maybe not anymore. But during this era, they liked Burger King. My parents have since transitioned to McDonald's.
Great, they saw the light.
Yes, they have.
But Burger King, like, they loved it. I guess they like felt they were royalty. I don't know what it was. They loved. They were like, this is upper class.
Yeah, we are part of the King's Court. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
I can see with all these magicians around. There's so many capes. Like, yeah, I can see
right.
her.
So she's standing there ordering breakfast for everyone, and of course, like, a normal Burger King would take like 2 minutes. This is an airport Burger King.
Yeah.
So it's taking
Long.
14 minutes. And I'm going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, let's go.
Yeah.
We're boarding. They're calling our names. Peter
They're calling
Kim,
your names?
Song Hee Cho, we're closing the door. I'm like, Oma, let's go. And she's like, I can't, they're almost done. And then they finally give her the bag, and then she's looking through the bag to make sure she's got all. I'm like, fucking, my asshole's sweating. You know what I mean? Like, I am drenched from crackdown. And she's like, oh, they forgot a hash brown. And I'm like, bitch, we'll share. We'll share. She's like, I'm there doing this stuff. Like, I already paid. I'm not getting a hash. So she's waiting. They're like, oh, sorry, we'll get you another hash brown. They're frying a new fucking hash brown coin. The packet of it. I'm like, oh, I'm dripping. She finally gets it. We run to the gate.
Calling
and we
your
get
name.
to the gate, and then they close that metal door. Gung, gung. And I'm like, we're here. They're like, sorry, we closed it.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, you just closed it. I just saw you close it. And they're like, yeah, that's the rules.
rule.
We've been calling you guys.
Yeah.
Where were you? And I was like, we were at Burger King. And my mom's like, no, please, can we, and my mom's like, talk to them. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You fucked this up. Long story short, we all missed a flight. And because it's all the magicians come in, right, to the gates. And because it's overcrowded in magician conference, we can't.
No flights.
We have to fly standby. And the 5 of us can't find 5 seats on one plane.
Of course.
So my mom and my youngest brother take the first standby flight out.
Yeah.
My middle brother and my stepdad take the next flight out.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck. They're like, Peter, you're an adult, so like you figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'm at the airport getting passed by on standby for 11 hours straight.
By magicians.
My magicians. And I'm so pissed. I am like gritting my teeth to the point where like I couldn't get on a flight. So I had to take a cab back to Vegas to the Strip and stay at a hotel overnight by myself and then come back to the airport and find out that there's still no flights for me. So they were like, the only way you can get back to New York right now is if you buy a first class ticket. So I had to buy a $900 first class ticket one way just to get home. And I was so fucking pissed the entire time. And I finally got home like 2 days later, and I didn't talk to my mom for a week.
Yeah.
I was so fucking pissed. It was nightmarish. To be like skipped over and over, like to be like, standby, is there anyone? They're like, sorry, we're full up. And then the next one, anything? Sorry, we're full up. Over and over and over again. This is why, like,
magicians. Oh,
I know. And it's
Just
not even
that
the magician's
image,
fault
Peter.
because they let us through.
of course.
They let us through. We should have been on that flight.
It's the hash browns. It's
it's
fuck?
my mom.
They're calling your name.
They're calling our name. What the fuck? And
That's
my mom's
crazy.
like, okay, I hear it. We're going. Like, she didn't understand that, like, if the door closes, it's over. Like, most people actually don't really know that, and that's such a stupid thing. But it's like a security thing. Like, once that door closes, you can't reopen it.
Yes, it's FAA stuff. Like, they do not fuck around. If they're calling your name, wipe yourself and run to the gate.
Yeah.
I don't
we fucked
understand.
around and we found out.
You found out.
And this is why till this day, I get to the airport early.
Yes.
No matter what, I get there early and I sit around, I eat an Auntie Anne's or whatever the fuck. Like, I'll do some work.
Oh, an Auntie Anne's.
I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'll be there and I am not missing this motherfucking flight.
Absolutely.
Cut to a few days ago. We're going to San Antonio, me and my friend. And we finally get to the airport. We park and get there. And I'm like, okay, we have some time before the gate, before our flight leaves, right? And I'm like, we have to go get breakfast.
Peter Kim. The sins of our mothers. Like, what is going?
I know.
How much time was there?
We got into the thing at 9, and we were boarding at 9:30. I mean, the flight was leaving at 9:30, right? So we have half an hour.
Yeah.
So we have half an hour, right?
Yeah.
It's not gonna take half an hour, and there's no Burger King there, so we're fine, right?
Yeah.
So we get to Pete's Coffee. We ordered a couple bagel sandwiches and coffee, right? So we're like, cool, 5 minutes. It takes 16 minutes, and that we're like, what the fuck? And then Delta, I don't know if it's Delta or FAA, but they started doing this thing where the doors close 15 minutes before the flight's supposed to leave. It's a new rule. I had never heard of this before. So I get an alert saying,
you're hearing it
doors
here
closing
first.
now.
You're hearing it here first on the only podcast available in the universe.
Yes.
This is actually news now.
This is news.
15 minutes?
The doors close 15 minutes before the scheduled time of departure. And I think it's so that they
no one can
stop
go to McDonald's
delays
anymore?
and shit. Yeah, exactly. Because things have been delayed too much.
Yes.
So they're like, fuck it, we're going. And now it's on like every ticket, at least with Delta. And I didn't know. And then they were like paying, saying like, we're closing. Your things, your section is boarding. Your section is boarding. The final section is boarding. And it's like doors closing. And we're like, what the fuck? Like we ran to the gate with our breakfast sandwiches. And as they were swinging door, I said, we're here. And they're like, well, you're lucky. And then they like opened it back up and we got on the plane.
Oh, it was closing. It wasn't closed.
It wasn't closed yet. They were like,
closing.
they took the doorstop off and they were like,
and they were closing,
and,
and you were, no. Wow.
I know.
That's like when Indiana Jones like rolls under the thing and he puts his hand back out to get his hat.
Yes.
Like you guys got it under the wire.
Nick of time. And I didn't remember this Vegas trauma till that very moment.
Because you had blocked it out, yeah.
I had blocked it out. And then when we got to the gate, it all flushed back of me waiting in that airport in Vegas for 36 hours by myself.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I almost made the same fucking mistake that I screamed at my mom for. Like, I cannot believe I almost did this. And I'm so glad I didn't because I couldn't be able to live it down.
No.
You know? No. But if I did miss it, I would never tell my family. Because I was like enraged. Like my family still talks about how fucking mad I was. And when I was 24. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's crazy. I mean, was that the
20 years ago.
Wait, but was it the... Also, this is where you learn your grudge keeping, is with your family. You will... My mom remembers shit I lost when I was 12. Like, she's like, don't forget. Don't forget. Yeah, I spent $30. Like, she'll remember the exact amount that she spent on whatever I lost. Like, it's like a level of, you know what I mean? That's
remember
your family,
that Jelly Roll pen you wanted?
Yes!
Morning Glory, bitch?
You needed 3 Karopi bags, like each is smaller than the other?
A nesting doll bag of Karopi, bitch, and you lost it? Anyway, that was my trauma.
Oh my God. I hope that bagel was worth it.
It was actually pretty good. for a whatever bagel, it was pretty good. All right, folks, that's our Trauma Llama Ding Dong. Now it's that time for our final segment in which we introduce something we're absolutely obsessed with. Sit back and, bitch, get into it. Bitch, you need to get into this if you don't have it already. And by the way, this is the simplest thing and the cheapest thing.
Okay.
I think when it comes to flight. Anyway, this is also about flights and airports. Bitch, you need to get into TSA pre-check. Do you have TSA pre-check?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I'm going to have to do it before we start this run.
That's why I got it.
Yeah.
Because we're going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
So it's $78 for 4 years.
Okay.
Okay. So that's $80 for 4 years. That's $20 a year to never wait in a motherfucking TSA line. Okay.
To just be like, bye.
Bye, bitches. And I always
really
look
great.
back and smirk. The only thing about TSA pre-check is that you apply and then you have to go to like an quote interview where you get fingerprinted.
Yeah,
and I thought it was gonna. Yeah, it's so easy.
I think this is the only reason why staples are around anymore.
Are still
it's
around.
just for this. Yeah.
That and toner. Like that's the only things they don't even sell staples anymore. They went full paperclip. Anyway, TSA PreCheck is so worth it. It's crazy. Some like airline credit cards or like credit cards will even give you money back if you purchase TSA. It's like part of their like incentive program or whatever. My new Delta card covers it. So like when I paid for $78, it credited me back $78. So you could get it for free. So yes, do that. I did Clear for a while, and Clear was like $100 or whatever, and for like a year, and it doesn't do anything.
No.
Like it skips the line to get you to the thing, but it doesn't really help with all the security checking, all that. TSA PreCheck, you could keep your shoes on, your belts on. You'd have to take your laptops out. None of that garbage shit that they make everyone else do. You get to skip all that, and it's quick. Now the thing is, if you have TSA PreCheck and
that's air travel with dignity. Like that's pre 9/11 dignity.
You have time to go to Burger King.
Yeah.
Now if you if you're traveling with another person though, and they don't have TSA PreCheck, it's really shitty because you go through like spick and span. You're through
like
so
you're
fast.
like you're the Burger King. Like you're
Hello?
through like
So I'm on the other side, and I'm now waiting
for your burger popper.
Yeah, for my other person to like. So dumb.
I'm sorry. Edit this out.
No, leave it in. They need to see it. So that's the thing is like, if you have someone like your partner, let's say your husband or my partner, they should get TSA PreCheck too, because or Global, whatever you're doing, because you want to clear the thing together. You don't want to like TSA PreCheck and then you get to the other side and now you're spending all that time you saved waiting for your fucking partner to get through.
Right. So, unless you love watching your partner like
struggle.
Like unless you have like
Which
that sort of kink. Exactly. You said unless that's your kink. You know what I mean? That sort of power dynamic. You know, again, we're sex positive here at Two Kims. So whatever it is. But you have to do it together. Absolutely. Like
you have to
travel.
Unless it's kind of like you when you're traveling for shows and you could just travel alone.
Yes.
But let me tell you, when we were touring together, if you didn't have it and I had it, it would be a nightmare.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I would just be on the other side, just like, okay, when are we going to get through?
And I would have felt horrible because I hate being I would hate being inconveniencing you like that. It's just
$78 for 4 years. That's nothing. What are you talking about? Get it. Everyone get it. Bitch, get into it.
Okay. I'm doing that. For me, I just did this. I know that. Okay, so I'm going to promote. This is another self-care thing. I'm going to have to do it. But if you do not do acupuncture, I highly recommend once a year. Once a year, you have to go consistently, like for something like you're actually addressing. But even for like a, now cleanses and like crystal things and like this energy stuff, that shit is what purporting to do what acupuncture actually can do. Like even if you go once or twice or whatever you try to do and it's just about like addressing some things in your body, highly recommend. I know this is like sort of like, duh, but I don't think people know that it works, but people don't do it.
Can you help the listeners, like if people have never done acupuncture, like what's the way to find an acupuncturist? Like, is it through Google? Is it through your like insurance provider? Like how do you find one?
So if you're addressing something very specific, I would definitely use your insurance provider because you'll have to go more than once. It'll be a part of a series where you're just going back. And the thing is, people don't understand is like acupuncture is actually pretty quick. It can be in and out in like a half hour, if that. So you're just needling and then you're out. Any provider that's telling you that you need to be there for a full hour, like that's actually fucked up. So like anyone that really knows, you can be in and out in a half hour. Like I'm talking like in the door and out within a half hour.
And
But
do you
just have to
like the acupuncture like group as a group where you like sit around, you lay around in a bunch of tables with other people?
I have done that. I have done that, and it's fine
Okay.
because it's like this is the reason why acupuncture is covered by insurance, because it has been demonstrated to actually work by scientific method, but no one knows why it works. Because it's like Western science simply doesn't understand it. So like, just consider that, right? So that's why it's covered by insurance, because it
Eastern mysticism.
yes.
What is it actually? Is it like diverting blood? Like, what is it doing?
No one knows. I mean, it's actually supposed to be about like, I think whatever chi and like
It's
things.
energy flow.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you know that picture in like those places. You ever go and like it's like a person like that, and there's like a bunch of like concentric circles.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like that's I don't know whatever that is like, but it that's the reason why it's covered by insurance. So if you are addressing something very specific, like a pain somewhere, like instead of doing chiropractic, which I think which is very gaining a lot
I hate
of
it. Yeah, because of TikTok. Because
TikTok,
everyone's
yeah.
like having orgasms when they get their neck pulled. Like,
yes, and like
I did
there's also-
chiropractic. I did chiropractor stuff for a while, and it just made things worse. I thought.
Yes, because you really it's hard. This is the other thing. There is so yes, go through your insurance person, and so if it's an insurance person, typically they've been like vetted in some way. I would just you know what to do. You sort by highest to lowest rating wise, and you find that's one if you're addressing something serious. Otherwise, if you're like doing something where it's like I feel whatever, I have stomach issues. Everyone has like a small little like thing that they're addressing, or even if you're like behavior. And did I ever tell you that I went to a lady once and she was like doing when like acupuncture people just like test your blood like this. You know what I'm talking about?
They're getting your heartbeat.
Heartbeat. No, but like they're like not just heartbeat, but they're like kind of. They're just, it's a different sort of thing than just Western people. Like they're feeling for otherwise. A lady did that, looked at my other, and then she's like, do you have, are you bipolar?
Oh my God. Wow. Reed.
I know. I'm not joking. Like it was crazy. I was like really taken aback because I was there for like neck shit. And she was like, we should do something about this too.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is like, even if I'm advocating for this as a form of self-care, not just like when it's an emergency. Like this can be sort of just like another massage, all that stuff. Like that's what it can be a part of. And like, whatever is sort of ailing you, I think if you go in a series or once or twice a year even, it can be beneficial and like in a real way. Like even if you're talking about how to find it, insurance, you're going addressing something specific, Google, sure. And also referral. Like if whoever the most hippie friend is, I'm sure has a recommendation.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, because I find that a lot of Asian people don't actually go that often.
I don't go.
Yeah.
I went in Chicago, but I haven't found someone out here yet.
And I'm sure there's so many out there.
Many out here.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're really good. So like, even in, like all your digestive stuff, like all that stuff, it's like if you're going to pickleball, you're doing all these like physical things. This is just another part of that. Just go for them. And it's not super expensive, because they are in and out. So I would, if it just as advocating for that, if you want to buy it, or if it's a gift for one of your friends that you, as like this upcoming holiday season, highly recommend. Get into it.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. That's our show for this episode. Please rate us. Please tell a friend if you enjoyed. Tell an enemy if you hated it. And we'll be back next week with a fresh episode. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.